to the city of, yeah, all right. Welcome to the City of Gloucester Clean Energy Commission for Wednesday, May 15th, 2024. This meeting is recorded by video and audio. There's Sarah.
Oh, having terrible internet issues, but I think I might have found where it's working finally.
Great, welcome. Okay, this meeting is recorded by video and audio in accordance with state open meeting law pursuant to chapter 107 of the Acts of 2022. This meeting will be conducted by remote participation. Additionally, all votes taken by the Clean Energy Commission during this and future remote meetings will be by roll call vote. Do I need to read the information, or is that not necessary?
I think
Persons who are invited.
Oh yeah, you do. Yeah. Sorry.
All right. All right. Persons who wish to view are invited at https://backslash/j.om.us/j878-669-42643 or join via phone US:+13017158592 or +13126266799. And our meeting ID is 878-669-42643.
Thanks. And just so you know, there is one attendee viewing the meeting right now. We don't often get attendees, but we have one today. So
well, welcome attendee, and let's begin. I think our agenda items are pretty straightforward. Let's start with general discussion, introduction of members and staff. I'll begin. Sam Cleaves, Vice Chair and Acting Chair in lieu of Candace Wheeler's absence. Courtney? Alan?
Yep.
Linda Brayton, John Moskal, and Sarah Shemkus, and our staff sustainability manager, Gemma Wilkins from the City of Gloucester. So I think the first item that I have on my agenda is the approval of meeting minutes for March the 27th. The minutes are still outstanding. Where do we stand on that?
So I don't have minutes for us today.
Okay.
I apologize about that. But we will start to get them rolling again pretty soon.
Okay. Okay, great. All right, let's note that minutes will be rolled forward to our June meeting. Okay. And moving on to the next item, Clean Energy Commission ordinance changes. I'll speak to this as I was chair of the little subcommittee with Linda and Courtney. So we've passed the first section, I think back in meeting before last, right? That was in April. And today we are looking at the revised language that staff has begun to put together on recommended changes to the ordinance for section 2-543, paragraph 4. We talked a little bit about resilience when we discussed the first package of changes to the ordinance. And what we've got right now is suggested draft language is in front of you. Quote, support the implementation of climate action and resilience goals identified in plans, studies, and assessments put forward by the city. And that replaces identify climate adaptation and mitigation issues and strategies to safeguard the long-term economic and cultural vitality of the city. And at this point, I'm going to open it up for comment. Like to hear from, we tried to narrow this down a bit, and like to hear comments from CEC members on that attempt.
I can say something to it. I like the updated version. I think what we had before fit the times and how we were trying to, work with the community and so forth. but we have moved quite a ways ahead, and we have distinct plans and I don't want to say recommendations, whatever, but we have some real organized documents and challenges. So I like the way it's worded. It's open enough so that we aren't tied down to, two things. But on the other hand, we aren't completely out there, just flapping in the breeze, kind of. So anyway, I like it.
I have some questions about the word resilience, replacing the word adaptation, and how people are interpreting that. To me, they seem very similar. And to me, resilience is like seawalls and plans to mitigate flooding and stuff. And that seems very far afield from energy. So I want to kind of understand what we're saying with that.
Okay.
I don't know who put that in there, if anyone can speak to how they read it or how they feel about that particular wording.
Well, I think Gemma and I put that together. Gemma came up with it, and I can understand that. Would you be more comfortable working with the word instead of resilience adaptation, which is the
I feel
original
like
language?
6 of one, half dozen of the other.
Yeah.
And this, I'm very open to the fact that this might be like because of the way these words are narrowly used in what I do for work.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get a feel for how other people think it. But for me, that's very much not the clean energy stuff that stops emissions and stuff. It's much more the how do we deal with the impact of climate change stuff, which doesn't seem as energy focused. And that's why
I'm
Yeah.
spot on with you, Sarah. I just, I've always thought that stuff is kind of a little sometimes beyond our mandate. And it's certainly outside of the expertise of me, and all. And to me, resilience is looking at the ability of infrastructure to withstand, weather extremes, and whether it's power infrastructure, water infrastructure, seawalls, things like that. There's certainly a part of that that is energy system focused, but this group has seemed to have broadened our role over the years with regard to that.
Well, I can speak to that a little bit. I mean, the original language, we're really just drawing from a clause in the original language and trying to clarify it and make it not quite so broad. So I don't.
I'm very happy, Sam, with the approach that, really kind of ties it to the fact that we are an advisory board to the city, and, are working within the confines of things that the city asks us to do, or the city, plans and developments and things like that.
Sure. Yeah, we're just trying to stay, within the nature of the original ordinance while not flying off too far. And we are also the home of the CARP, the resilience plan that MAPC did for us, for better or for worse. I guess it wound up with us. So is this something that people can live with, or how other comments?
Yeah, I think as long as we keep, as far as I'm concerned, as long as we're having this conversation and keeping in mind that question as we go, and just kind of having blind mission creep, that I'm comfortable with it. Like John said, I like the part where we're supporting and advocating for, not necessarily charging out on our own. That I think helps ease my concern a little.
I would also say that another piece that we have on our agenda tonight, we try to address that in that we've been working towards, Candace and Gemma and I have been working towards putting together a draft work plan this year, which should be vetted, we hope, annually to sort of narrow our focus every year. And again, we can always have this debate on a per topic basis. Anything that comes up would have to be vetted and approved by the entire CEC before it's adopted into the work plan. So if people are comfortable with that, that we try to be faithful to it, but also narrow the focus a little bit. So hearing that, if people are comfortable with it, do I hear a motion to adopt as edited, as revised?
So moved.
Okay,
And just to clarify, it would be a motion to recommend to the mayor the adoption by city to send it to the city council to adopt it.
yeah. Excuse me, I've got the wild bees. Let me tame them for one moment.
I second it. Not the wild beast plan. Maybe the wild beast.
Okay, wild bees are tamed for a moment.
I seconded it.
And then there's,
It's been seconded, Sam. That's all you missed.
take out my hearing aids so I can use my other hearing things. At least half the man I used to be. So, we have a motion to carry forward the language as revised to the mayor for recommendation to the council. This would go with the other amendments that we've already passed. We have a motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Bye.
All, aye.
I apologize, Sam. We do have to do it by roll call vote. 'Cause it's
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, don't worry.
Oh,
That's.
Yeah, no worries. I'm out of
I made you
practice
read the
being
whole link
chair.
before, and I actually don't think I had to make you do that. So I'm putting you through the ringer
No
on
worries.
this, and I apologize.
Okay, yep, motion to adopt by roll call vote. Courtney Allen,
Aye.
Linda Braden,
Aye.
John Moskowitz,
Aye.
and Sarah Shempkus,
Aye.
and Sam Cleaves, aye. Okay, motion carries. Next piece, just a reminder of what Gemma just mentioned, and I just mentioned that the summary ordinance, including now this piece, will be forwarded to the mayor in a memo. I will work with Gemma to put together a memo and a package to send over to the mayor forthwith, and hopefully we can get that done over the next month or so. All right, next item is areas of focus for the upcoming year. Did everybody get a draft of this? I sent that out. The intention was not to figure it out tonight, although a little bit of time has gone by because we didn't have a quorum last time. The idea here is that we've put together a series of draft areas of focus. Hopefully this is an annual, it's a sort of a informal work plan with themes and draft areas of focus that Gemma and Candace and I, taking our lead from Gemma, would hope to focus on. And the idea is that people would elect to put their efforts behind one of these and give us some forward momentum as well as simplicity in what people are working on if people want to go along with that thinking. So when we put this together, again, this was in April, and we had hoped to have some discussion of what to adopt and what to edit out at this meeting, but I think at this point, unless people feel differently, we might want to take this up once people have had a chance to read it, or if you want to get into this tonight, that's fine. I don't know where people stand with this, and it's been a busy time for everybody. So any comments on taking this up tonight or taking this up for adoption after revision for next meeting?
Sam, I think maybe I have just kind of a general process question.
Mhm.
When I did read it and
Yep.
looked at it with a little bit of depth, but my first reaction was kind of like, oh my God, who's going to do all this? On the other hand, I really like everything that's on here, and I have no idea what I would take out. So, but
Sure.
I guess how do we work with that? Because we have at this point problems with getting quorums and whatever, and there's a ton of work here.
Yeah.
So I just
Well,
put
yeah.
that was my reaction, and it's not I think it's a wonderful document. I'm just not sure how the rubber meets the road kind of thing.
Sure, sure. Well, it may be, that's really, I really wanted people to, we wanted people to take a look at it and see how much of this makes sense. Obviously, part of it is aspirational. It's, some of these are multi-year. It's just an attempt to get us on track and getting people on projects that they care about and that they want to work on.
I think the second point in particular has a lot packed into it. So figuring out like what is actually like a realistic way to unpack that one, like for this group. Because I mean, that looks like a job.
Right.
That's the one that like really stands out to me as being a lot, like it's the shortest one, but it almost has the most.
Right, right. No, it's a good point. I mean, it is a lot of work, and it may be that there may be 2 or 3 people who just split up the that task for a year, they just jump on and split up the work. I'm fully aware that, a volunteer committee really, only has so much time. And we're all making a sacrifice in being here in the first place. So that's why I really wanted people to come back and think about it, and maybe we can talk about it and see where people stand. Any other comments?
I'm thinking as I listen, to this point of view, that if somehow in our way of describing what we're doing here, we talk about liaisons with other, players in the same area, because, there are groups and there are people that might want to be part of an effort. And I know that can get kind of it's a mixed bag depending, but I mean, I'm just looking at this, we are not in a position to do all of this ourselves. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't have maybe the lead on all of this, or pick and choose what we're taking the lead on. We still even need to leave a little room for something that comes up that we didn't know about. Because that happens from time to time, and we need to move on it. We need to advise on something that's, whatever it is. I guess this is the same kind of a thing. I'm trying to think about how, but it does involve more than us somehow.
Right.
Oh,
Absolutely. And
I'll explain that we didn't cut it way back, and it's aspirational, that whole language.
right. I think the attempt here was to just set some areas. So, when you set an area, you say yes to some things and you close the doors on others, and there's so much going on that, and it's been confusing with just remote meetings and getting enough people and this and that. It would just give us some headway. And it's, like any work plan, largely it's aspirational, and it's to be, modified as you go as necessary. This is really, just a first cut at it. I think I've got no pride of ownership on this. We just put this thing together and would welcome a year review of it and modification to, pare it down, change the language, get rid of, something. If we all just want to work on 2 things instead of 4, whatever, or just 2 areas, this is just our cut at it. So
Well, it's good to see it all laid out.
yeah, well,
we have been, talking about or running into one way or another. So, I mean, here, this is sort of a reality check,
Yep.
this is all the stuff that we've considered having on our plate, or a worrying they might be on our plate, or whatever it is, and it's good to have it delineated.
right. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of advocacy and support issues here, and there's a ton of work. It's not meant to say that, we're going to get all of this done, but it lays out some areas where we could be of use and support Gemma in her work. I mean, a lot has changed since this group was put together. We've, now have a really, really dynamic and competent sustainability manager who, our work really, as a committee is to support her work, a lot of it as it's laid out, and then weigh in on what we know about and then get help with stuff that we don't know about. At least that's just my opinion. So really to see how we can fit in better and offer support. This is really not meant to blow anybody out of the water with work, including me. I'm not going to be able to do all this stuff by any means, but to just get us, you know, in the right directions. We've got a couple of areas around the geothermal study, and we've got some with the new alternative membership allowed. If that ordinance package goes through, we may be able to pull a couple more people in on that.
So I think what would be valid, what would be helpful
Yeah.
to me,
Yeah.
is just especially, and I mean, my eyeballs automatically go, I guess, to the pieces that are about outreach and communication, right?
Sure.
I think if we could like set expectations with some KPIs in here for like what's expected from the committee, which I view, especially like these 3 items, the bottom 3, well, all of them. Obviously, we talked about how it's supportive of Gemma, so like almost even a sense, Gemma, from you about like the scale of the support that you're looking for, like within a dedicated timeline, because that's the piece that I don't necessarily know. Because like, I mean, we could all write blogs until the cows come home, but like, like how many would be helpful to you? Like how many events would be helpful to you for us to go to? Because I think that would give us a better sense of the scale of the plan, and then we can kind of go from there and figure out if that feels doable or if we need to like cut it in half. Or does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, so I think when I'm just like initially looking at these with the geothermal study, I think a lot of that is just going to be report backs, or if we have, you know, site visits or things, you know, putting an offer out to you guys to join. Climate leaders, it's a little bit more like of a political type of thing. So just starting to lay some groundwork, maybe some research around, you know, what other communities are doing. When it comes to like the communications and outreach part, I don't necessarily think it has to, I don't know. I think we can, for that, I can kind of adapt to your, you know, what your availability and your schedule. So for example, with aggregation, the main messaging component we have now is aggregation. I'll talk about that a little bit more. But we're right now kind of trying to talk up our previous program and introduce the new rates and the new 3-year contract. So I'm working with, you know, Alicia in our PR contract to, you know, put out press releases and things like that. So it would really be for that, like a request of, do you want to come and give a little bit of feedback to Alicia on how we should approach this, like we had done? Maybe if we, you know, really want to start going hard on outreach around it, inviting one of the CEC members to be on like Good Morning Gloucester. So the message is not just coming from me, but there's a, you know, that community touch. Yeah, I don't know. It's a little hard to like scope exactly what we need, but I think to some extent I can, you know, I can adapt. I can, you know, I hope if I put out like a opportunity or say, you know, is there anybody who's interested in doing this? If nobody's interested in doing it, I can kind of like go from there. I tend to want to put out the opportunity to have CC members involved, and then if nobody has availability, like I appreciate frankness on that, because I really, really don't want to be overtaxing anyone, because we want to keep you all here. You're awesome. And there's a lot of good expertise in this meeting. So I mean, that's kind of how I'm envisioning it, I guess. And I think for the last one, I think Sam and Linda had talked about a lot the need to like make a connection to what other community groups are doing. And it sounded to me like maybe that looks like, you know, every once in a while allowing a community group who we've intentionally made a connection with to come and talk about, you know, maybe Town Green is doing a, you know, a 5-year plan or something to come in and just present it, so we learn a little bit about what other communities are doing. So that was kind of how I was reading all of these. I'm not sure if that was like giving the level of detail that you're looking for, but that was
Right,
kind of what
okay.
I was.
This is the first time I've looked at a draft work plan for this, so this is like purely because I haven't seen how it winds up working out. So that was the main reason I was asking.
I really appreciate your going through it and kind of fleshing it out a little bit. I mean, now it sounds like, I mean, thinking of you as the lead person, and we're an advisory board, you know, other people we advise too, whatever, but the idea that you will be kind of in the position to sort, you're going to have certainly much more close-up knowledge of what's in the wind with the state, the city, whatever. So you can tell us, here's what's valuable, and you know, how can we help? And as far as reaching out to other groups and saying, what are you doing? It's not just how can we help them, it's how can they help us too. And it's useful just to know that there are other people out there and we're not going to reinvent the wheel or step on somebody's toes, or, you know, or hey, we really need some help and we know somebody in the community that knows how to do it. There's some sort of give and take without getting our totally, you know, off into somebody else's whole plan for the world, and we're in it, and wait a minute, how did that happen? Mission creep, etc.
Yeah, and I want to be frank, like I know we kind of had done a little bit of this already, like giving, you know, assigning point roles and stuff, and so some of this is just trying to wrestle with like what is like the most in this sort of new landscape with our new ordinance, what is sort of like the most effective way that will the CC can support this work, and that, yeah, like it's really trying to figure out, you know, what will keep you guys interested, what you want to move forward on, what do you think's worthwhile to move forward on, and what exactly like what the capacity is to do that. If I'm looking at this list, the you know, the other thing we had talked about was the CC as like a little bit of a political force. So you guys are, you know, speaking for the community, where I'm speaking from the position of, you know, working in the city. So things like the new specialized stretch code is something that you might be able to be sort of a voice on, and you know, subject matter experts on in a way that maybe I can't be, because I'm managing different stakeholders within the city who have different, you know, views on these types of changes. So I think those were the kinds of things we were trying to figure out, is like what do you guys think what are you excited about doing, and what do you think could, you know, be a role that's tangible that you all can play.
Yeah, we tried to shift into current topics instead of, you know, and projects that are ongoing now, rather than sort of subject areas, which is where we started with when Gemma put forth her stuff.
Well, that makes sense. You know, it's always good to be, oh, here, look at this, we accomplished this wonderful thing when we already did 90% of it. We just wanted to finish it. You know, I mean, it's nice to get in a position where we already, you know, have something going. Or we say what we have going is silly and we stop or something, but.
Yeah. So how are people feeling? Would you like some more time to look at this and mull it over, or would you like to move forward with it? Or
I mean, it's fine with me, it makes sense to me. And I'm always happy to support, especially on outreach projects and that kind of thing. So
it's almost like we're at the point of doing sticky dots and finding out what we like the most and the most willing to get into it. And it doesn't, you know, so then we can prioritize a little bit without making it really hard and fast. I don't mean literally sticky dots. We'd have to put them on our computers, but just to get some sense of, oh, everybody loves this, and you know, Courtney loves that, and I love this thing here, and John likes that, and you know, whatever, and get some sense of how much, almost by percentage of time, how much time and energy do we want to put into these particular things, and how realistic is it if you're the only one that cares, or I'm the only one that cares, or whatever it might be. We get more of a sense.
wondering, I'm thinking it through as I'm talking. I'm wondering if it wouldn't be useful to, I mean, all of these conceptually feel good to me. I'm wondering if a good next step wouldn't be to translate it into a list of almost to-do items, like that we can look at, and so we can see what the more abstract terms mean in terms of our actual commitment of time and action. My first thought, as like in my reporter hat, was that I could volunteer to sit down with Gemma and get just a big list of like concrete things we could do in each of these areas to support her. At this moment, I don't know if that could become a regular way of keeping up or something, but I'm just having trouble wrapping my mind around the abstract and how that's going to translate into what we actually do.
I think Gemma's the key, the kingpin here in this whole thing, because I mean, really, truly, you know what you need, you know what exists, what doesn't exist, what might be coming down the pike. I mean, you're the person that has the knowledge, but also the capacity, and also you're very good at it. So you win.
Gemma, would it be easier for you to like reach out to us when you need stuff, or would it be helpful to you or to anyone else if I were to come sit down with you for a half hour and let you tell me all the stuff we could do, and then we could run with that and check in with you on that? What, like, very tactically, what works for you, Gemma?
Yeah, well, so I mean, in a moment, I'm going to talk about the community outreach work we're doing. So, I mean, my hope there is if you have ideas, but also if there's areas you want to plug in and you feel like you have the ability to plug in. I guess the main one that, right, so if we were to like adopt this, I think probably what I'd do is, you know, for the outreach one, I think I'm going to kind of, I would keep doing what I'm doing now, right? So offering opportunities to kind of support with whatever the messaging component is we have going on at a particular time. And, you know, feedback on what that messaging should be. For the, you know, geothermal stuff, I think, again, it would be like report outs, getting your feedback. That one really is sort of like advisory, right? We want to know what this expertise in the room, how that helps us move through that process. Climate leaders might be one that could be driven by the Clean Energy Commission a little bit more so. So, you know, having on our agenda some time to talk about, you know, maybe look at the requirements for climate leaders and talk about each of them, and you know, go away with some things to research or some webinars to go to kind of start to get a sense of what that would entail. And then the last one, yeah, I mean, if there was someone who was interested in kind of maybe setting up a meeting with Maureen at Town Green and asking if they want to come speak at a CC meeting, or you know, even like Biomimicry New England, who's doing the 400 trees, you know, maybe having them come and talk about the 400 trees program, really just as like a way for you all to get a bit broader scope of what other community members are doing and how that's all kind of supporting the CARP and supporting those interconnections between, you know, our different goals. So that's, I guess, like, those are the tangible things I'm thinking of when I look at this. I hope that's
so I could maybe make a suggestion, and that is, if we moved forward to adopt this on general principle and just accept the wording as it is, that we give Gemma something to work with when she does have tasks come in, to list out on what she needs help with, but it would help her to filter out some of the extraneous stuff that comes in to her office, or if things do come up, you know, does it match up with what's in the general theories in the work plan that we could adopt? So you could do it that way rather than having people sign up for an area. We could just look at things, filter it, and then on a monthly basis or as things come up, if you wanted to let us know, Gemma, what you need help with based on, you know, these general 4 areas, if they still work for you, we could go in that direction. I don't know how that sounds to people.
Yeah, and Sarah, on your piece of like coming up with a to-do list, I almost think that to-do list is like, that's what our agenda should be, right? So when we put together an agenda, well, what are the things we want to talk about on this agenda? That's kind of like the to-do list in a way. I don't know if that makes sense or if that risks getting into I just, yeah, it's hard for me to envision that I could like, some of it has to sort of blossom a little bit, right? It's hard for me to envision that I could come up with a really concrete list of to-dos.
Okay.
Seems like it just has to be kind of ad hoc and we kind of see where it gets us. And then we can tweak as we go along. I feel like we are at a risk of like spending more time than is reasonable talking about like how we're going to do things versus doing the things. So
Right.
I think
Agreed.
by having this
I'm
conversation,
trying to wrap my mind around. I want to get right to doing the things. I don't want the most efficient route there. But
Yeah.
I think by having this conversation, we've realized that we don't want to have this conversation. We want Gemma, but we had to talk about it first.
yeah.
But I think I think really Gemma's job, I mean, I've been in community development in the past, is say you really got to be thinking on your feet and moving and changing and being flexible and adaptable and mitigate the damage or whatever. But I mean, it's not something that can be too defined. But if Gemma has a general sense of who likes to do what and who's capable of what, that's
Yeah, in a general sense too. I mean, this is
like minute by minute, which is the reality of what she's trying to do.
Didn't we make a grid for that at the end of last year? I thought I remembered that.
Yeah, so we did. We kind of assigned like topic area roles, and
oh right.
Yeah, so like this is a little bit. I think I definitely understand the fatigue of like planning what we're gonna do, and it has been a little bit of a slow kind of wrestling with, you know, how do we want to structure this stuff, and we've been doing the ordinance, but I hope, you know, there's also lots of stuff happening as well. So I mean, you know, I hope I'm giving you also tangible things to work on. But yes, we are kind of still talking about and wrestling with like, how do you want to organize yourselves? And I guess one of the things that this is helpful with is just clearing away some of the things you don't want to talk about. Like I think one of the things Candace and Sam and I spoke about with the previous sort of like topic area roles is the stuff I was doing related to those was moving really fast, and I wasn't necessarily able to kind of like reach out to you guys, or, you know, and you also have your volunteers, you have jobs, and this is my job. So, and then also just that it was really broad. There's like there was a lot of topics. So this was, you know, essentially an attempt to actually narrow it a little bit more and kind of say, you know, these are the things that are going to be more of a focus of the Clean Energy Commission. And other things we will, you know, I can give you updates on them and stuff, but we won't necessarily have the Clean Energy Commission focus on those things. You know, I think the feeling was that having those topic area roles was a little bit too broad and maybe not so useful. So, but you know, welcome to feedback on if that's true.
Right. We had to do that before we got here. And you're coming, I mean, this was when you first came into the role, and it was just all there on your desk, on your plate, you know, probably giving you nightmares. And now you have a better sense of how you want to do it, and you know, who the players are, and you know, what the limits are and what the possibilities are, all that stuff.
Yeah.
6 months, you know where the bathroom is. You're doing way better than that, I hope. Hope you know where the bathroom is. Anyway.
And if people are interested in these topic areas and they want to, it's taken a little bit of time, I think, for me to recognize that it's really okay to get together with somebody else on offline and discuss this stuff. I mean, we've reviewed the open meeting laws, and it's perfectly okay for members to get together, have a coffee and talk about stuff. And then come back and make recommendations on, say we wanted to develop a letter or make a recommendation on a report, just to come back and talk about that. You can't make the decisions, but I think in a lot of ways, getting together and just having the fluidity of working together a little bit on this stuff has been very limited by our online meeting. It's great in some ways, and yet it's somewhat limiting in terms of people being able to work together at times. At least for me, I'm just getting used to doing the hybrid approach. So, Gemma, there's at least what I'm hearing is that there's some support for keeping this as a general document with ongoing guidance from you and direction as to what you need help with, as these things come up. So can do that through targeted emails. I mean, we can leave this. We really don't have to have people sign on to areas. They're going to be sort of naturally inclined to do it. And as you put things out, they can respond to that. But I don't want to saddle you with something that if that sounds like too much, or give you time to think about it.
Yeah, Sam, I wonder if maybe we move on to the next agenda item and like let people think about it a little bit, and then kind
Sure.
of plan that the next meeting we'll vote. And if that makes sense to everyone, because I think maybe people need a little time to
Sure.
think on it, and we can get into, well, the real stuff. Not just planning for planning, but hopefully there is actual tangible things we're trying to do as well.
Great. Any comments on continuing this to our, I guess it would be our June meeting? We would bring this back up hopefully for modification and some kind of adoption.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay. Sarah, Courtney, does that sound good?
Works for me.
Sounds good to
Okay,
me.
great.
Sorry, I was just being climbed on by a child.
Okay.
Turn my
Yeah,
video up.
Yeah, we were going to continue.
Gemma.
We're going to keep this on the agenda and bring it up in June. And if folks could comment and pare away at this thing as they will, that would be great. So I need a motion to continue and to keep this on the agenda for June. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Okay,
So
John,
Well,
so move.
Second.
Second, Linda Brayton,
Yep, second,
in-
whatever.
are you in favor?
Oh, aye.
Roll call vote. I'm sorry, I'm very rusty at this. Sarah Shempkis,
Aye.
aye. John Muskell,
Aye.
and Courtney Allen.
Aye.
Okay, great. We'll continue this item for June. Thank you for your input on this.
Sam Cleaves voted.
Oh, and Sam Cleaves, that guy sitting in front of me, he votes to continue as well. Aye.
I think, Gemma, you're gonna get a chance to just try this out sort of for the next month, and without making it real obvious to yourself or anybody else, you'll get a feel for what would happen, what it would be like, I think. If not, forget it. Who cares? It's all right. Do what you want.
Okay, we're going to move into staff report. You have a little update on aggregation update on new rates and community outreach, Gemma. Oh, we lost your volume.
Sorry, I'm just sharing
There
my
you are.
screen.
There you are.
Let's see. All right, what do you see? Oh, let's make that a little wider. So, do you guys see this as a full screen?
Yes.
So on April 3rd, there was a little bit of a break between, your all work on this and bid day. But on April 3rd, we all participated in bid day, and the winning bid was Dynergy Energy Services. I hope I'm saying that right. I should learn it now because we're going to be talking about it quite a lot. These are the rates that were part of that bid. I should say also we continue to go with Green Consumers Alliance for the RECs. And you can just see what the new price structure will be compared to the current National Grid rate, which is about 18 cents. And then also compared to our current aggregation contract. So, you know, there's that kind of trend of, you know, we're doing pretty good for the energy market, but our rates are going up, you know, pretty significantly compared to our previous 3-year contract.
And then Gemma, this is a 3-year contract?
Yes, sorry about that. Yes, it is a 3-year contract. Exactly 3 years we went with again. There was honestly, you know, we had got bids at multiple different sort of number of tiers of time frame. And 3 years actually came in pretty much as the best option anyways. So that worked out very nicely. We didn't really have to think too much about, well, do we want to kick off a month or add a month on because we're getting better numbers? We were getting the best numbers across the board for a 3-year contract. So. Any other questions about about bid day, about the rates we ended up with?
So these are the rates we accepted, and when does the contract go into place?
So we already signed the contract. You have to sign the contract on the day, but they don't go into place until this contract ends. So this one ends in December, and right after that, these will pick up. Okay,
so this will start the first of the year and go for 3 years.
Yep, exactly.
Great. Nice job.
Great job.
Just to give a little comparison to what we had expected, what you guys had talked about, you know, we were thinking it was going to be at that 15%, which is what we went with for the renewables. We were thinking it was be about 14.6 cents. We came in a little tiny bit under that at 14.4 cents. So pretty much in line with what we expected. It was a pretty easy, we were all kind of sitting there when we accepted the numbers like, oh, that's it. And Good Energy was like, well, if it's not exciting, that's usually good news. Usually means that when things went smoothly. So
Great.
that's the update. Oh, sorry.
Can you go back to the previous slide? Just one second, Jim. So I mean, to me, something that really jumps out is even though our rates have gone up, the National Grid standard offer rate looks like it's going to be about 18 cents plus a little bit. And Gloucester Local Green at 15%, which has gone up a little bit, is still at 14. So really that's a pretty solid savings still. So I know it's not as dynamic as before, but people will still be saving a lot of money.
Yeah, and I think we don't know for sure what National Grid's rates will be when we actually get to sending that letter out to all of our residents with the new rates. So hopefully we will, that'll be a comparison that shows the value of this program. And just to give a little context of how the contracts have typically gone as well, our past contracts have just gotten better and better as they aged. So, by the end of the 3 years, hopefully you're seeing, more of a difference between the National Grid rate and our rate. I can't obviously guarantee that that's how this contract will go, but, we have been talking with Benchmark, our company that we use for PR, about, talking a little bit about the success of this past contract, which was, hugely successful. But also talking about the contract before that too, because I think the contract before that really speaks to, what these programs are meant to do, because that one you pretty much saw almost every season except for those final those last couple of seasons where you were paying more in one season and less in another. So it fluctuated a little bit. As you got to the end of the contract, you're pretty much always paying less. but there was, even though it fluctuated a little bit across the life of the contract of where you're paying more than National Grid and where you're paying less, there was an overall savings of about 3 million. The contract after that, because we were coming in lower than National Grid almost across the board, the overall savings, I don't quote me because the last time I mixed up the numbers, but I think it was something like 16 million. Like it was a significant, major savings. And I think that reflects sort of like insulating people from a lot of the volatility in the market. So we're trying to think about, talking about that within the community and giving a little bit of education to help people understand, what exactly do these programs do and what's the value add. Yes, at this point, people are thinking of it as a discount program, but there's a lot of other benefits that these kinds of programs provide to people. Because I don't love nobody's going to like seeing that their rates are going up. But that is kind of the nature of these programs where every 3 years when you renegotiate, you're going to have more of a jump than if, it's National Grid where they're, changing their rate every.
Yeah,
every
but
season.
I still think the story is one that while it's gone up, it's still well below what the current utility offering is. And so
Right.
that's I think this is all about the narrative and how we present it to folks.
Right, exactly. So
Okay.
I think that's all mostly good news that we, pretty much what we ended up with is in line with what we expected. The only thing that was a little bit different than we expected is Dynegy, ending up being our supplier. I think when we originally looked at this, they weren't rising to the top. I think it was Direct Energy that was rising to the top when we first looked at the numbers, but they rose to the top. So we'll have a different supplier this next 3-year contract. So then the last piece was just some outreach updates. And to be honest, the main outreach update is that I would love. So speaking of, what are the asks of the CEC? I would love if you are possibly able to mark your calendars for the Energy Savings Fair. We, myself and Linda have been talking a lot more about kind of making that like a mainstay of where we bring together all of our kind of community outreach and resources around, greenhouse gas reductions, decarbonization. So that's the main PSA for today. If you can mark your calendars for the Energy Savings Fair, I can add a little bit of an update about the other types of things we're working on. As I said, aggregation. We are sort of working on messaging for that, press release first probably, and then as we get closer to the actual new contract going into place, I'd love to like go on, maybe Good Morning Gloucester, maybe the Town Green podcast that they have, and kind of speak to this program a little bit and what it will kind of practically look like for residents. What else? We are hiring a bilingual community liaison. We're hoping to hire someone who speaks Spanish or Brazilian Portuguese or both, would be amazing. For this summer, the farmers market, I have a meeting actually with Allison this Thursday. I think I have to look at my calendar. I am totally dependent on my calendar to know where I'm supposed to be when. But we're going to talk a little bit more about having a presence at the farmers market.
It is Thursday. I can see the calendar.
Oh, okay. Great. Thanks for checking for me. Yes, so we'll talk a little bit more about having some of these resources in the community on a more regular basis. We already do regular office hours at the senior center. But we love to be at the farmers market as well. I think that kind of opens it up to a different demographic of folks than our senior center. What else? Yeah, I think those are the main pieces in terms of outreach. Really focused on the aggregation messaging, the farmers market coming up, and hopefully hiring a bilingual community liaison.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you, Gemma. And anybody want to offer any comments on stuff that they've done, conferences, meetings, research comments? Okay. All right. Setting our next meeting date, how does third Wednesday in June work for people? That's the 19th. As far as they know at this point.
Yeah, it should be fine.
Me.
Okay. Does that work for everybody at this point?
So,
Wednesday, the 19th?
The 19th, I believe, is a Wednesday.
Oh, actually, I can't
Is
do
it
that
the
one.
first day of the
It
farmer's
doesn't have
market?
to,
Oh.
it doesn't have to hinge on me or anything, so.
Is that the first day of the farmer's market, Courtney?
It
Yeah.
is.
I don't think that I can do that actually because of the farmer's market. Um, let's see. I mean, you are welcome to meet without me, but if you wanted, I could definitely do the next Wednesday, the 26th, or I think I could do the Wednesday before. Yes, I can also do the Wednesday before.
How about
That
the
would be the
12th?
12th.
I'm okay with either.
Yeah,
It's good
the
for me.
26th gets pretty close to July 4th stuff.
mm,
Everybody okay with the 12th as far as we know right now?
12th is good.
Okay, let's go with the 12th, 5 PM. And I think we will still be remote, at least as far as we know. Correct, Chama?
We're going to be remote for the foreseeable future. I'm not going to probably try to get you guys into an in-person meeting until I see that a couple of other committees are doing it and things are working. I just want to mention also, Sam, there is one attendee. I don't know if you wanted to check in with them at all, but I just want one reminder.
Okay, you mean in taking comments or?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't see them raise their hand or anything the whole time, so they
Sure.
might just be listening, but
Yep. Well, welcome to the person that attended, if you have anything to offer. Great,
all right.
great. So, I think we're all set and we can, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Seconded.
Okay, roll call vote. Sarah,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Linda,
I.
Courtney,
Bye.
and Sam. Bye. Okay, we are adjourned. We'll see you in June.
See you in
Thank you so
June.
much.
Bye, guys.
Thank you, Gemma.
Bye.
Everyone.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye-bye.